getting started, trying to get towards this cam, first thing you're gonna do is use your key, pop that off, and you got 4 little Allen bolts, and then that just slides back. It's got a couple of grooves right there. Slide that back, take it off. Then you got 2 8mm to hold the seat down right there. And then you want to get your side panels. Once again, just a couple more Allens, 2 Allens pretty much. Once you get those Allens out, you're just gonna pull away, and there's some Velcro on the tank, and then there's a little piece on the side like this it's slotted in, so you kind of force it forward just enough to where you pull it out, and then they just pop right off. And then there'll be a couple Allens on either side of this guy, and then once you get those out, this just has these right here that go into these little rubber grommets that are, well, they're on top of the tank down here. And be careful, you just kind of grab from the back and pop them up. After that, it's just the tank, 2 more 8mm bolts, and you lift it up, pop this red lock for your fuel right off of there. You got a couple vent tubes. His was a little kinked here. We'll cut that hose, and I don't know how he did that, or who put it in there. Yeah, and then you just got your connector for your fuel pump. So literally an 8mm socket and a 4 Allen, and you get to this point. That's all you need to get to this point, and a little bit of knowledge. So then after that, we're gonna go ahead and get these out. You got to get this off so you can get under here to get the air box off. And then you will need, it's a little tricky to get this air, the top part. Once you get all this wire disconnected and you get the screws off, this top part comes off. You'll get to your air filter. I'll show you that in the next video. But then to get to these clamps down under here, you see there's a little Allen right there. That's what holds. There's 2 of them that keep the air box tight down there on the throttle bodies, which you'll need something like that, but a very smaller size to sneak in there to get to those. So keep watching. Well, we're gonna tear this thing apart. All right, now we got the air box off. All it was, like I said, just some Phillips screws like these, and this pops off, and your air filter's sitting right inside there. Once you have the top off, the air filter off, obviously you got to get all this electrical stuff off of the injectors, these foggers that are on the outside of the air box. Disconnect all that. Then you're going to have 2 10 mils up here to get your steering stabilizer out of the way. Then you get the 10 mil that's right here. That 10 mil right there. And then you're going to need one of these here. And that's a 5. So that you're going to sneak in from the side like that on either side underneath, and that's what gets these clamps right here. So yeah, pretty much this and those 2 clamps, and then you just pry, and it's gonna feel like something's holding it, but it's just real tight on there. Pops right off. And this gentleman still has his pair valve on there. I'm gonna have to talk to him about that. That pair valve is for like air fuel efficiency for like riding on the road. But when you tune your bike, you don't want that on there, because what that does is it blows air into your exhaust, into your head. And then what will happen is, if you have your O2 sensor on your exhaust and you're trying to get a read on your air fuel mixture on your O2 on your exhaust, it's going to give you a leaner read than what you actually have inside your engine. So it's going to give you a misread. So you'll be adding more fuel, and your bike might be running too rich, you know. And so he needs to get rid of that. They sell block off plates for that. You pull that out of there, you disconnect the wire, you put 2 plates over it, and then you'll be getting an accurate read on your O2 from your exhaust. So I'm going to talk to him about that and get that taken care of. But yeah, so next we got to obviously disconnect all these other wires to the injectors on here, all the spark plug wires, the throttle body, the throttle cables, and then get this throttle body off. And then there's some rubber under here. We got to take that up and make room for that valve cover to come out. All right, so we got the throttle body off now, and all you do is just disconnect all your connectors. Obviously, you know, they're all connected up here on the back side, and then you got some up there on the top with your spark plugs and all that. And then there's 2 rubber grommets on either side, one on that side, one on this side. Pop them out with a flathead, and then it's the same exact tool that you use to get the air box off. You just go ahead and take it, stick it right through there, and you can see how it goes right there, and that's pretty much it. Those throttle bodies will just pop right off. And once you get them popped off, there's a bracket right here that goes to your throttle. You just pop those cables out. I find that's the easiest way to do it. You don't have to mess with your slack adjustment up there or anything like that. You just take that little bracket off. There it is right here. 2 little Phillips screws. Make sure you put a rag inside the head before you start taking those screws off. Drop one of those screws down in there, you're gonna be sad. And this side right here, you can get all these connectors off, but this one's really hard to get to. I would recommend just taking everything else off besides the throttle and this connector, and then once you get these clamps loose and you pop it up, you can get to that a lot easier. Just pop that one side, get that connector off, and then that's it. So, and then this is all it takes to get to this point with this bike. You know, an 8 mil, a 10 mil, a couple of Allens, a Phillips screwdriver, and a flathead. Those bolts right there, that's all I've removed in those parts right there. And I think I started at like 12 o'clock, or I think I've had like 45 minutes on this bike. Maybe not even. I've just been taking my time. So yeah, next thing we got to do is get this pair valve off, get this heat guard off of here, and we're going to start taking the valve cover off. And then once we do that, we'll get the engine top dead center on the number 1 piston, which we'll have to take off the crank position sensor cover over here on this side. We'll get that off of there, get the spark plugs out. We'll turn it over till we got it at top dead on number 1, and then we'll check to make sure everything's timed correctly before we take it apart. I'll probably go ahead and just inspect the valve lash on the exhaust cam just to see what it looks like while I got it apart. No need to do the intake cam because we're changing it. We'll have to do that once we install the intake cam. But on to the next step. Alright, we got the pair valve off, and on one side you have to take off that side because one of the Allens that holds the valve cover down is directly under this and it won't come up. So you got to get this off. You got to get there's 2 over here, 2 right there, and then another 2 right there. That one in the back is real hard to get to, and you're not going to be able to use a ratchet. You're going to have to use a regular Allen key. Once you get all that off, you just want to try to, I took my clutch cable and pulled it from up here, put it back. What I'm trying to do is just make room in here because there's just so much stuff. And you got a couple of vent hoses. I take them, stuff them up in the intake, get them out of the way. And then once you got all those out, I take a pry bar, I put it right here, and I just go like that, crack the bottom half, and then go like that, crack the front half, and then now it's loose. Now getting this out of here, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a bitch. The first time I tried to do it, I started to think that you couldn't get it off with the engine in the bike. Doing these cams and valve adjustments or changing cams or anything involving taking that valve cover off, it's not fun. And then when trying to get the cams out and get them retimed and everything like that, sometimes I think it might be easier just to take the engine out. But the more you do it, the better you get at it. So I think this would be like the 3rd one that I've done inside the engine. So it's fun, that's for sure. You got to have some patience. I'm trying to remember exactly how it comes out. It's like you got to lift it up and one side swings out. It's either the right or the left side. I can't remember. I'm going to go ahead and try to get it out of there now, and then I'll let you know in the next step. All right, so valve cover's off, cams are out. That valve cover swings out from this side. It's a little difficult to get out, but it barely comes out of there. So got the cams out. They're over here. Intake and exhaust. gonna have to get a new gasket. New gasket down there. And it's hard to time these things while they're in the engine. There's can't usually you look from the sprockets are right here, and if it's outside of the bike, you look from this side and look at the head, and you line your marks up right there. But with this one, since it's in, you got to look for the intake mark on the back side of the cam. So you'd be coming around, and you're literally going to be timing it off of this ledge right here and that mark on the back side of the cam. And then you can't really see anything from the back side on this side. So you see that little slot right there? You got to come and look through there, through that little hole, and you'll be able to see the other mark. So it's a pain in the ass, to say the least. You got to drain the coolant, because you got to get to your tensioner, and your tensioner has a thermostat that is in the way, with a hose that's in the way, with a clutch cable that's in the way. So it's, you got to get these fairings off. It's quite a bit of work to get to the valves and the cams on these, but I guess it's still easier than pulling the whole engine. But man, once the engine's out, it's so much easier to do the work. But we're gonna sneak it through here, get it done. So we're waiting on the aftermarket cam, or not aftermarket, it's made by Kawasaki, but it's a racing cam for the intake. We're waiting on that, and I gotta order some gaskets and some coolant and some spark plugs and stuff. As soon as that comes in, we'll be putting the cams back in, adjusting the lash, making sure that everything's good, making sure that it's all timed, put it all back together, start it up, make sure everything runs fine, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do his fork seals for him, and then he'll be taking it to the dyno to get it tuned.